a lot of the people were like, oh, I'm building this website, can you review it? It's not as useful if you're not established it. If you don't, I don't mean that your big website, it's just if you haven't done enough, immediately asking how does it look like. If I say something, will you change it? I think you really just need to start, learn basics, and then start asking for reviews, or looking on YouTube how the websites should look like. But I think that the most important thing is to start.
You're listening to Ecomonics, a Debutify podcast, your resource for one-of-a-kind insights into the world of e-commerce and business in the modern age. This is Joseph. I'll be presenting a wealth of industry knowledge from interviews with successful business people and our own state-of-the-art research. Your time is valuable, so let's go. Robert Rubeko of Punch Salad gives us a window into some elements of the e-commerce space we're glad to finally shed some light on. Although this is Shopify country, as we say on the program, when we get contesting information, we head right for it. So, if you've been wondering what WordPress has to offer, this will be a great primer. The second aspect that sticks out to me about our guest is his unique branding. It's what puts you as a content creator over the competition. Even the smallest consideration into the way you present your content can endear you to the audience far more than you might expect. Robert Rubeko, it is good to have you here. Welcome to Ecomonics. How are you doing today? How are you feeling?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you for being here. One thing, I don't ask this too often, and I'll chamber it because I just remembered I have a very important question that I have to ask you first. So it's on the tip. It's on the tip. I'm not gonna lose it. First question, we got to get this one going. Who are you and what do you do?
I'm Robert Rubeko, and I work in Amsterdam by day. I'm a conversion rate optimization expert for an e-commerce store that sells beauty products. And by night, I am a YouTuber that I help people with their WordPress questions and all kinds of tutorials that they can take their website to the next level.
Yeah, I checked out the website very briefly, so I definitely want to ask you more about the conversion. But let me not tease that other question for very much longer. So this is one that I could potentially ask every guest, and I don't, but we're just going to get it in here. So when you were reached out to by the company, what was your initial reaction to us contacting you? Was it curious? Was it like, oh, these guys finally? Yeah, I've been waiting to hear from them.
Yeah, I definitely. So it was an exciting news or contact because I rarely do these kind of things. And I think it's a podcast. I listen almost daily to podcasts. So it was definitely something I responded almost immediately. But with I haven't used the software before though, but I listened to the previous episodes and I think I was impressed by the quality. So I thought, why not?
Oh, thank you. So wow, you listened even as far back as before you booked. Yeah, I appreciate that. I could ask other people that, but I don't know if I want to know the answer. So I'll just I'll just take that little bit piece of candy and I'll just go with it. So conversion rate optimizer. Now you said that you do this for a beauty product website, and that actually makes me wonder how much time you get to invest in that on a week-to-week basis. So I think at first, let's start with what exactly it is you're doing as a conversion rate optimizer, and then what is the week-to-week hourly commitment to doing this?
Actually, I work for 40 hours for the company as a CRO, which is the shorter version of it. And basically, my main goal is to improve the revenue on the site per user. Also, we have smaller goals, like, for example, sign up for newsletters. But obviously, it's always about the revenue and just making sure that the customers have a great journey throughout our site and they find the information they need to make the decision to buy our product.
Mm-hmm. And I guess the thing that I can't help but wonder is that, like, when I talk to, say, one guest that pops up to my head, Tyler Jeffcoat, he's got his own agency, and I can understand the needs of accounting are something that's consistent, and I hear that it's consistent here, but I don't fully understand why. So what kind of decisions do you make that can stick in the long run versus what kind of decisions do you have to make on a day-to-day basis?
You mean as a CRO or?
Yeah.
I think it's all about like just for long term, you want to plan test ahead. So the main thing I do actually is I do user research and also plan out A/B tests to test some hypothesis. And that's the main bulk of my work. And yeah, long term, short term. Some tests might be very short sighted, not short sighted, but just we're just trying to improve the conversion on a short period of time. But you need to always keep in mind that you can improve something right now, but down the road, it's not going to be good for the users. For example, I don't know, if there's too many pop-ups on the site, that means people get annoyed. They might sign up for it the first time, but then if they visit the site and every time there's something popping up in their face, in long term, you might actually lose that client. And that's not our purpose. So there's always a balance between that short term and long term.
Right. And I imagine too that you're also observing I'm about to say trends, and I feel like that's not the most respectful term for it because there are a lot of changes and a lot of developments in business and in e-commerce and what's the best way to communicate with the customer. So in that respect, I also imagine that you're observing a lot of new developments in order to, say, improve efficiency or a new advertising campaign, a new social media platform. So it's part of your responsibility to also keep your eyes peeled on what's new and what's going on and what can then be integrated into the website.
Yeah, no, that's completely true. Maybe not to the point that, okay, should we now go to TikTok or is it too early for us? But
well, I actually thought you were going to say TikTok.
yeah, like, but the point is, and for some brands that works. But I think as a CRO, I do have to keep my ears open, sort of say, and I do try to read the industry news all the time, not only specific to my role, but also like SEO and what's going on in the ad space. Just because you never know where you get inspired, and also the fact that, like you said, there's so much constantly changes and people behave differently because maybe Amazon brought up a new feature. So now everybody is used to that feature. So now the question is, should we do something similar? So no, definitely it's looking at different trends. Yeah, I'm not the one that makes the decision if we actually do it, but I can definitely bring it up to the management.
Right. Yeah. Like it's more your position to, yeah, like you said, to pitch it, to offer it, and to show what are the advantages to making this decision. What I also understand, we can always we'll reintegrate it as we go on, but I know there's a lot of other things that you get up to as well. Your YouTube channel is Punch Salad. What I look at it is that this is a guides, it's just tutorials. But what I love about it, by the way, is the opening for it. Punch salad. I just like, it's one of those. It's like it sticks into the ear. Another example of this, if anybody is into like the kind of like the gaming nerd tech world, there's this one called Review Tech USA, and it starts with this guy going, and every now and then I'll just be like, just like brushing my teeth or something like that, and punch salad. I don't know. It sticks with me. So let's start with the outside of it. It's like, where did this kind of like brand come from, and what do you have like a 10,000-foot view of what you'd like to do with the brand in the long run?
Actually, I think I need to work on the brand because the channel name is actually Tips with Punch. But yeah, there's the punch there.
Oh my God. I'm so embarrassed.
No worries. And
okay.
the website is Punch Salad. So
Tips
honestly,
with Punch. Yeah, that was it. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. No worries. And yeah, the idea, the whole concept for the YouTube channel, why I started is this was like 4 years ago, where there were these channels. I don't know if you've seen any tutorials where when you watch them, they have no sound or maybe like a computer fan behind them. And then there's just a notepad where they type in like what you need to do. And then it many times doesn't even work, or it's just not user friendly. And I thought, okay, I can't handle these. I want to just make it very punchy tutorials about websites. These things can seem to be very complicated, but they're not. If you have somebody guiding you through the steps, it's quite simple. Especially with WordPress or Shopify, it is the developers work so that it's super easy for users to use. So the sort of idea behind it is definitely to have less of the talking and more just the action.
Right. So you say that some of these videos, like somebody, like he's recording it and they forget that their microphone is on and they're just recording like.
Yeah, exactly yeah. Those. Yeah.
So on my channel, which isn't related to e-commerce, Giant Enemy channel, I did do that. I didn't breathe into the microphone or anything like that, but every now and then one of my clients, when I was doing freelance editing, they would ask me how to do something. And I thought, okay, well, I can either like write out the step-by-step, or I'll turn on OBS and I'll just record it, put some music in the background, and then that way they can just watch it. They see the step-by-step process themselves. And I wasn't like I was expecting it to generate revenue or anything like that. It's just to show my clients, and then it just so happens to be there publicly in case somebody else is looking for it. Is it good? No, it's not engaging, and it doesn't reach a higher audience. So your desire to do that, I'm wondering if you have a background in that, or if you've done any, or if you have any artistic leanings or creative leanings, or this is like the first time that creative side in you has manifested.
No, I've tried many things, and to be honest, I always been on YouTube learning stuff. So I don't know. At one point, I was into cartoons. Then another point, I was into just building websites. I've been quite long interested in the digital space. Anyway, I've been 10 years in the during my work time. I've been 10 years in the business, and I just also just like coding, and I like to learn new things about it. So I'm nerdy that way, I guess. For the channel, yeah. The thing is, nowadays the standard is so high. Like if you any topic, if you open up YouTube, there's just so much stuff there and it's very high quality. So I would say sometimes my videos are not up to the par because some people do 4K and with some effects and stuff. So it is getting competitive, but yeah, I'm just trying to do my thing and help people with WordPress, which I know the best, and it seems to work so far.
Yeah, I have run into that issue before where at the time I just put together enough 1080p cameras to shoot. Then I find that I hear rumblings of 4K on the way. And so one piece of advice that I asked Uzair Karwala, he'd said that it's a lot of money, so you can always skip a generation or something along those lines, or even just once everybody is on 8K, then you can move up to 4K, because then by that point it'll be cheaper. And I thought 1080p was it. I thought 1080p looked damn good.
Sorry, at what point is good to skip?
So, for instance, if your 4K is already on its way, so one idea would be just start putting money away and wait till the next format comes out. Stick to your guns, and then once that whole wave is done, and then an alternative, which I don't necessarily think he suggested too, is once 8K is out, 4K is going to get a lot cheaper, and again, it looks really good. 1080p looks really good. My other webcam is 720p. It looks fine.
I agree completely. So, but people start to expect certain things, so they want that crisp image, even if it's not really necessary. Because I don't know if you've seen, there's some videos on YouTube from 11 years ago. I don't know what that was, 772p or maybe even lower.
Yeah, still 480. Yeah,
exactly. They get the job done still in some cases, but. Yeah, for me, 4K is a bit too early also. I don't think I have enough memory for all of that.
I think the other thing that I find too is it's also about how people expect format. The other person I'm going to be interviewing a little later today, he's a TikTok expert. And by his own admission on one of his TikTok videos is that he puts all this work into editing a YouTube video, and he doesn't get the same feedback that he gets on his TikTok, because TikTok is so quick. And so, but it's trying to condense all that information into a very, very, very short amount of time. And some things are lost. You don't get the same breadth and depth that you get with YouTube videos, or even just a book. But what it does is it does also condition people, not just on the quality of it, but also it conditions people on the format and the length of it. Because TikTok videos, I mean, unless people have their phones shooting in 4K, the phone quality is all right. It's not fantastic, but it's how people are expecting to get their information. So, it'll be interesting to see how in a couple of generations how they absorb their information, if they just get these 2-second clips that embed in their subconscious, and
you watch TV with Google glasses or something like that,
or hopefully it gets total recall. Well, I don't know about hopefully, but maybe it gets a total recall where they just embed the memory. Hey, do you remember that scene? Yeah, I do remember that scene. Yeah. So here's one thing that I observed from your YouTube videos. I wanted to sort it by most popular, because I thought it would shed some light on what are the most prevalent issues that people are facing. So your most popular videos are, there's embed YouTube in HTML, install free SSL certificate, how to verify a website on Google Search Console, create a free website, and then WordPress fix. WordPress fix, the uploaded file exceeds the upload max file size directive. So very digestible title, but that's probably exactly what it had to be, right? People are typing in that. I do that. When I ever get error kernel 42xdll, and I can't screenshot it because it's a blue screen. I'm like, okay, just hold right there. Just write it down exactly as it is. And I type that exact thing and right into it. So is there any takeaways that you've had from like what content of yours has been the most consumed versus the content that's more your median average?
I think for me, the most successful has been the SSL certificate in general. I have multiple videos just because the tools have changed. Um, I don't know why. I think also YouTube starts to prefer if you have one good video, then it sees that, in this space you can sort of dominate, or at least they push you more. But also just various kind of topics. And you already mentioned, for example, the most watched one was the where you just take YouTube video and embed it on your site so that it's responsive. So by default, it doesn't do it. So it's crazy that this kind of video, which I didn't think this would do that well. I knew there's some need for it, but I didn't know it would do this well. And you never know which video will rank. And that's, I think, the beauty of YouTube, because sometimes you're sure you put the hours, it's the best. Well, at least in my opinion, it's the best out of the options, but still not nothing. And you just need to keep trying. And I think that's how it is.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I'm wondering about too is with the embed YouTube and HTML video is that I didn't look, but I don't think you were the only person to make that video on the whole space. So do you remember what year you put that video out?
I think it was 2018.
2018, yeah, I was thinking that. There's probably been some content prior to that, and I'm sure there's been content after that.
Must be.
Yeah, so did you pick up any insights as to how your video was able to generate the traffic that it did compared to other people in the space?
I think it was one of the quickest. So the length of the video helps. And also the fact that I show you how to make it responsive, because other videos just showed how to embed it, but that's pretty easy. That in WordPress, you just put the link in and it embeds it. But problem is it doesn't, on mobile, it looks really horrible. It's like huge, or it just doesn't adapt to your screen size. So that's what I show with very simple instructions, how to get it done. So I think it just, people click on it because it's short and to the point. That's the whole topic or like my idea for my channel also.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like what happens with videos on the phone, for me, phones are like the right size now, but for me, all bets are off. I spend like the first minute or so just like treating it like a steering wheel. I'm just trying to like, okay, come on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I also wanted to get your expertise on the SSL certificate. Whenever I encounter a topic that, at least to my recollection, which, we're like 60 episodes in, so y'all have to bear with me in case somebody else has brought it up. But can you run through us like the basics of SSL and what I know that you're a WordPress expert, and so we definitely can defer to that. But let's try to keep it general for what we expect out of SSL certificates and how to get our hands on one that kind of like puts our mind at ease as well as the customers.
Yeah, well, basically, in modern times, most web hosts come with free SSL. It's the same one. It's from Let's Encrypt. But basically, SSL just is encrypting your connection or your server's connection to the user that lands on your page. And it's a Google requirement right now. So if you don't have it, you have this really ugly warning that this website is not safe. And so you really want to have a SSL certificate. There's a couple levels, but to be honest, nowadays, I don't see big differences. There's some, I think with the higher levels, if you pay more, you get some sort of if you get hacked, you get some sort of a protection, but I'm not even sure about that. But for most people, for smaller sites or medium sized, the Let's Encrypt should be more than enough. It looks exactly the same in the browser. You don't see any differences unless you click on the padlock icon in your browser. Then you see the difference. But basically, there are a few web hosts that don't provide this for free. So that's what I try to teach them, how to do it for free. Actually, the tool in the video I've created also because the previous tool went and they made it so that you can get 3 SSL certificates for free, and they last only for 90 days. So you need to renew it every 90 days. So that's the limitation of the free SSL certificate. There's nothing I can do or any other tools can do it because the authority that provides this, that's how they've said it.
90 days. Okay. I know I can imagine that for people who are, let's just say they're setting up a temporary Shopify store or something like that, and they only plan to be in it for a while. Okay, that checks out. Yeah, I mean, I see my dentist every 6 months. So if every 3 months I just got to like renew this SSL certificate, that's not too bad. But I feel like
I mean, it sounds. That's what I thought first. Like if you have one website, that's not too bad. Every quarter you just update it. But I think if you have more than that, you start. It's a bit annoying that you have to do it. It's maybe 10, 15 minutes. Then it gets a bit. You can get a paid certificate for like $10, because for example, GoDaddy they sell it for much higher price. So that's why a lot of GoDaddy users come to my videos and they get it for free. But actually, if you have more than one website, it gets a bit annoying, I would say. You have to remember it. I think it just takes capacity out of your brain, and you need to remember to do it.
Right, because if they're set up at different times, and then all of a sudden one of them, oh well, the 90 days is up on this one. I thought I just did it. Oh no, wait a minute, that was my other pet collar store. Okay, yeah, that checks out. Yeah, and by the way, for what it's worth, I'm a GoDaddy user myself. I had a WordPress website for the first little while. Kind of like a lot to unpack here, but I had hired somebody to make a webcomic for me. And she ended up using this WordPress theme called Aggregate, and the whole thing was a mistake. It ended up costing me like $1,000. And if I looked at how much the theme was, and the theme was like, I don't know, $200 like that. I think I don't know, for some reason I just thought, well, she's an expert. She'll just take me through everything, and then I can ask her for help for the rest of my life. And I remember this is correlation, but I remember I was emailing her some things I needed fixed, and then I happened to upon her Twitter, and she says, "Boy, I hate high maintenance clients." And I thought, okay. I mean, maybe, but I'm also trying to get my money's worth here. So the point of this, by the way, is that I remember, because I'll have a phone call with GoDaddy about as often as I see my dentist, and they had called me, and they had told me that I was going to have to start paying for the site security. Otherwise, there would be this big, ugly looking warning on it saying this site isn't secure. And I remember having an issue with that, because I remember it wasn't like that before, or maybe it was like that before, but it wasn't a big deal. And they're like, well, the internet is just changing, and you gotta keep up with it. So I'm wondering if you've seen any like major shifts in site. We'll start with site security, but then we can get into some other stuff down the line, like other major shifts that you might have observed. But for now, for security purposes, have you seen any major like milestones in the development of this? And have you also, by any chance, had any personal encounters, either like you or somebody who you've talked to, who, let's just say, really could have used some security?
Yeah, as long as you have SSL certificate, you can also install, it's not installed, but you can get a Cloudflare to protect you from certain threats. So you can install certain things and plugins maybe in WordPress. But I think in security in general, the biggest, from what I understand, the biggest threat right now is like phishing attacks. So it's not that they will brute force your website and then get it. No, they'll just get somehow you to give them your password and a username, and then they have access to everything. So I think that's a bigger threat than actually getting hacked, unless you use like a simple password like 1234. Other than that, if you use a good password with many different characters, you should be good. And obviously you can protect yourself with some software and plugins. But in general, I think it's more of the phishing and all kinds of scams that are so there's so much of it right now.
Yeah, I have to admit, I didn't actually know what phishing was in this context. But I do know is that every time I get an email for something that's clearly not a legitimate business offer, I could report it as junk, but I want to send a message to Microsoft saying I don't want these in my inbox. So I've actually just been reporting them as phishing anyways. And I'm probably going to continue to do that, because I want them to have other options too, saying it's worse than junk. Okay, it's clearly not a legitimate offer. So yeah. All right, so we're gonna rewind. What I want to know is what you were up to before you got into e-commerce, because you've been in this you said for 10 years, and so I'm always curious to know if you thought your life had like a different trajectory. Like one example I love bringing up because it was the one that was like the catalyst for this question is that Paul Motley had said that he was studying chemistry, and I asked him, okay, what does this chemistry training come with them? And he said, yeah. So I break things down into their smallest elements, and then I build it up. But in e-commerce, I thought that's amazing. So I pose that same offer to you, same question to you: is like, what were you up to before e-commerce, and did anything come with you?
Wow, that was pretty profound of what he said. But
that's why it
no,
sticks
for
out.
me,
He was like interview
exactly,
7, and I still remember it.
exactly. No, that's like okay. That's a nice way to put it. No, I don't think I have a story like that. I think I've always been a person who. So when I graduated college or university, is that the same thing?
College and
No.
university. Well, I mean that's a whole can of worms. I mean, they're both post-secondary education.
Okay,
But that's about
right.
it.
So university.
Yeah.
And I was studying marketing, and now I needed to do something, and I noticed I really like to be like a jack of all trades kind of a guy. So actually, first I got into project management still in digital space, but it wasn't necessarily only e-commerce. So it was just managing projects for an agency. But I quickly noticed that although you could do a lot of things as a project manager, it wasn't really for me, just because of the type of the work. I wasn't really producing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's when I switched more to really focusing on e-commerce and to like CRO role where I can be kind of jack of all trades, although I have to specialize in a couple like disciplines. But and then I still produce some results. So I can see something on the side that I did, and I can point at it and like, hey, this is something I did, or the test is running, or whatever that is. So I think my journey was a bit more linear in that way, although it was a bit, switching from project management to CRO was a big jump in that sense, but it was lateral jump.
Mm-hmm. And also, it's important to, and this is a less profound through line, but it's also important, is that a lot of the people, they have their own projects, and even if they're not expecting it to, like secure their retirement, they still do it because it's amazing for learning, and it's great to have somewhere to do all our testing and to unearth discoveries in a much safer environment. It also evokes too like a sense of play. It's something that people can play with and not still worry about the consequences. We still don't want these things to go down and crash and burn, anything like that, but stuff that we can take with us into contexts where our responsibilities are more pronounced.
Yeah, also, and you have much more freedom as well. Like, I mean, you whatever you like, you can just do that on your own time and dive into it. And if if something comes out of it, that's great. But at least you're learning constantly something. And like you said, you've dabbled with websites, but that means you at least understand that nobody's gonna screw you over again. At least you understand these things. And in this day of an age, like we just live in such a digital environment, and many people don't know how websites work at all. Like they just type in the browser something and it appears. It's magic, right? But the infrastructure behind it, it's complex.
Yeah, it's all supply and demand too. Like I think for a lot of people, they just thought, "Can I just shout into my phone, hey, turn on?" And then Google took them long enough, but then they realized maybe we should just give people the ability to shout into their phones. Okay, Google, can you turn off my oven for me?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And you said too that it also gives you freedom. And I mean, the opposite of freedom in maybe a more cynical sense is confinement. But I would say the opposite of freedom is responsibility or duty or the need to do things. And one thing that I think reflects really well on people, and I think this reflects well on you, is that let's say you have somebody who they're doing your job with the beauty company, but then on their own time, nothing that they do has anything to do with it. They just, I don't know, they're a Broadway actor or something along those lines. Whereas because in your own time you're continuing to work on Punch Salad and your YouTube, I think what that does is it shows that the people you work with that this is your world and this is something that you prioritize and you value it, and you're continuing to use your own time to grow and develop. And yes, there's an element of play to it, but that's almost coincidental more than anything. So yeah, I think that's important for people to keep in mind too, is that if you're wondering what direction you're taking in life, look at your hobbies and look at the difference between your hobbies and your profession. And if there's ways to connect the two closer together, I think what you'll end up with is a more cohesive way of living.
Yeah, definitely. And for example, I mean, hobbies usually, involve a lot of passion. You really like it, and many times maybe you can't make money out of it, but it still brings you joy and also value through just being creative and doing what you love. And in my case, it's actually getting a bit tricky because I really like what I do during my daytime, but I also like what I do during the evenings. So I think everybody has to have hobbies just because you can put your passion into those.
I respect that. I mean, as I'm saying this out loud, I'm also thinking about, where my own hobbies and passions, and I'm always going to be passionate about. I'm always going to be passionate about video games. And one of the things that has always been a sticking point for me is how am I going to integrate this into the rest of it? And so for a lot of people, it's like doing streaming or forming communities or writing about it. And I think streaming, I participate in a podcast now, which a previous guest had invited me on. So I don't want anybody to feel like they have to abandon what they're doing. Maybe it's more about figuring out what are some things that I can do to start connecting these 2 points, however disparate they are.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't know what game you play, but there are
plenty.
Which one?
Oh, plenty. Oh,
plenty.
Oh, yeah. I have lots of ones. I'll call them out because I ain't scared of nobody. But there's this mobile game called Battle Legion where you position your armies and then they just run at each other, and it's satisfying because I don't have to micromanage in the middle of a fight. I just put them where I want, and then the fight starts, and I'm just I'll eat lunch and I'll just watch my army fight other armies, and so it's a mixture of strategy and entertainment too. So that's the one that I'm most hooked on right now. But there's others, definitely others.
All right, but yeah. Maybe they even have professional games where you could be the broadcaster, or I mean I like to play time to time Counter-Strike, and that thing is very very professional. So. You're into sound and podcasts, so maybe as a broadcaster that could be a actual career where you're still with games, but yeah, you do kind of combine them.
Yeah, totally. It's definitely an option. I used to play Counter-Strike, by the way. Great game. More realistic than a lot of other games where even though you have sight aiming, I don't know so we're getting into the game stuff. Okay, bear with us, people. We'll get through this. But I don't know if in the later Counter-Strikes did they start adding in sight aiming, or is it still just classic hold the gun at the hip and crouch to be more accurate?
Yeah, you do need to stop to, or slow down to increase the accuracy.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering about that. All right, so let's shift into WordPress, because we definitely want to use this as an opportunity to hear from your expertise. And like I mentioned earlier, I've had a relationship with WordPress, never had an issue with it, but I want to frame this in a way that helps our base, our sellers, most of whom are on Shopify, because Debutify is a Shopify template. That's debutify.com. So what could I, as a seller, do and mind you, I don't think we're going to be able to fully replace a store, but based on WordPress strengths, what could I do to enhance my brand or expand my business with a WordPress site?
Well, what WordPress is great, it's open source. So it does mean that you can do anything there. And there's a lot of external plugins that you can use. I think, you just need to see if your business is if you need something custom, then WordPress is great. Also, there's a lot of developers that can do code for WordPress on Fiverr, or even one of the freelance websites. It really depends. I think it really depends what you want. And in some cases, it's better to go with something like a Shopify. In some cases, it's better to use WordPress. And I think, there's pros and cons for both.
Mm-hmm. And the way I'm picturing it is, let's say, for instance, my shop is running well, but WordPress, yes, you can run a store through it too. But whereas Shopify templates, as good as they are very specific to running a store. WordPress is many things. So I think if somebody wants to enhance their brand in a certain way, like if they want to start doing their own video series, or if they really want to focus on a blog, what would you say are some of the key strengths or some of the best things that people are using WordPress for?
I think you mentioned already. If you're
Okay,
into
great.
blogging, that's definitely a place to go. I think that sort of where Shopify does have a strength is the e-commerce focus. So it's just for that. But with WordPress, yeah, if you're in podcast, if you're into anything that you is a bit different from e-commerce, then that's a place to be. And WordPress also has e-commerce elements, so you could have a blog plus your own shop in one place. But yeah, it really depends what you're doing, I think.
And I this being Shopify country, I definitely wanted to make sure that for our listeners' sake is when we get to meet the other website countries like WooCommerce we had in a previous episode and WordPress in this case, it's always good to get all of the information so that people can make the more informed decision. Because I like what we're doing here on Shopify, but like you said, there are, and even frankly, like I said, there are limitations to it. This one ties into some of the stuff that you did on YouTube, but also ties into WordPress. I know that you were offering website auditing for people. From what I saw, you did publish a video about auditing. So how many takers did you get? What were some of the standout choices that people made, both on the positive and the negative side?
Yeah, I did. Actually, quite a lot of people sort of sent their website, maybe let's say 50 to 60. And then I looked at some of them and I did a couple of videos, but I noticed there's a small problem with that when you ask like that your audience to do something, is because a lot of the people were like, "Oh, I'm building this website. Can you review it?" It's not as useful if you're not established yet. If you don't, I don't mean that you're a big website. It's just if you haven't done enough, immediately asking how does it look like. If I say something, will you change it? Meaning. I don't want to discourage anybody with their website just by saying, "Oh, I think this is too, you need to improve this and that." I think you really just need to start, learn basics, and then start asking for, reviews or looking on YouTube how the websites should look like. But I think that the most important thing is to start. But the two websites I did review, I think one of them was selling pens, and the website actually looked quite. It looked a bit old school, but it really had good elements in it. So I don't think it needs to change per se, because the target audience that the guy said he has, I think it fits it. I mean, would I update it? Yeah, it looks a bit like from the 90s, but still, it was really functional website, and it had all the value proposition and how to contact, and it had all the elements there. It just doesn't look like we are in 2020.
And I want to touch on that a little bit more, especially because you have, like you say, a 10-year window. So would you say that there were like any major generational shifts in what WordPress is capable of? And let me give you a little bit more information to absorb that. Because I remember when I was using WordPress, I'm 31 now. I was most involved in it like 23, 24. And I admired WordPress a lot because it really did seem like it was ahead of the curve in a lot of ways. It seemed like it ran more smoothly. It was more visually pleasing to look at. It was like the earliest instance of what like Web 2.0 would be capable of, versus like stuff prior to that, like, I don't know, GeoCities and Zanga and all that stuff were like, I don't know, just kind of looked messy, not intuitive. But what were like some of the major things that you've seen evolve on WordPress over time?
I think I agree with you. 10 years ago, WordPress seemed to be really ahead of the game, even compared to other competition. But right now, I feel like a lot of other providers have caught up, kind of. What I do see is that with WordPress, especially with the templates and things like that, there's huge community. So that has grown to a lot. And there's a lot of companies that just specialize in WordPress because there's enough people to sell to. So I think the community has just grown a lot. I mean, is that good or bad? Yeah, you have also, that means the WordPress library, the free one, has a lot of weird, just uncompleted like themes and plugins, which
and also because you have a lot of extra competition, so a lot of these themes, as promising as they may be, if they don't get the traction, then developers have to move on, because they gotta eat too.
Exactly, and it's gotten more commercial in that sense. So pretty much every plugin has a pro version, which is the paid one, and I understand it takes a lot of time to code these plugins and themes. So I do understand them, but at the same time, maybe 10 years ago, it was a bit more like hobby based, but it's much more professional now in terms of the plugins you can get.
Mm-hmm. And the one parallel that I'd like to draw, it reminds me of the way televised and movie content has evolved, where when you had fewer channels and you had fewer movies out in theaters, you had fewer options. And so on the one hand, I guess people are hoping it'll be good because it doesn't waste their time, but also because there was less things to compare it to. And so you look at, say, like Star Wars, for instance. Once upon a time, Star Wars was all there was, whereas now they've tried so hard to maintain on top that they tried to please everybody, and now their fan base is divided. And I think like The Mandalorian is the only thing people really like out of there. So I can kind of see that happening with WordPress too, is that things are refined, and so everybody is more pooling their resources and focusing. And like you said, it's also a hobby too. So it's driven by people's just desire to do it. And then over time, as it turns into a business, well, once you get into business, it turns into competition. And so I guess there was a lot more chaff as well as a lot more wheat.
Yeah, no, definitely. That has increased. At the same time, the bigger fish also get the bigger pie, I guess, bigger part of the business. So it would be great to see more like independent developers that actually succeed, just because there's the big ones really dominate right now. So same thing. I don't know if you know Theme Forest, which is like where you can buy all kinds of themes. I think
I do remember you were mentioning that on your channel.
Yeah. So,
or is it either your channel or your blog?
Yeah. So you could buy any theme there. They're all paid, but you get really high quality themes there and plugins. And I think they might even have some they have for different platforms also, Magento and other ones. But the point is, there to succeed, you really need to be one of the sort of best selling theme authors. And it's just because that platform pushes you to the top of the search results if you're always selling. So, and as an independent developer, it would be really hard to keep up with these big guys because they have like 20 developers just doing one thing. So
yeah, it's a common issue with pretty much any industry where when something becomes institutionalized, it has more resources to throw up against the competition. One example that sticks out to me, I don't know if you ever watched Mad Men, but like McCann Erickson, which is like the big advertising agency, was always like the villain in the background because McCann Erickson had whatever resources they wanted to throw at the smaller, much scrappier agency, which is where the story takes place. And so you can see that happening here. It's fascinating. This is actually the first I've really heard about it, about how that there's like McCann Ericksons of WordPress templates, and you know,
I'm not saying they're evil or anything.
Well, they're definitely an antagonist depending on who you talk to, right? But other people, sure. You know, yeah. If you think they're evil, I'll defer to your expertise on it.
No, I'm not saying they're evil.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, they deliver value also, so you get a lot from the theme if you go with the big guys. It's just then they get the biggest pie by far. So as an independent developer, it will be much harder to sort of succeed there. There are people that probably succeed still, but I think it's in every industry that when it matures, this is what happens. It just sort of starts to be the big players.
Mm-hmm. And there's one other through line that I want to bring up, and I'll pose it to you. Well, when I get to the end of it, I'll pose it to you as a question. And bear in mind, this is more like, you know, if something comes to mind, we can share it. If not, it's just worth thinking about on its own. So here's another example. Let's say somebody gets into McDonald's. McDonald's is the most popular burger restaurant on the planet. People might not even really know what a burger is. Okay, well, at some point, everybody in their life at one point doesn't know what a burger is, but eventually you learn. And McDonald's might be the one to do it. Now, are the burgers good? Yeah, I like them. They're fine. Yeah, you get what you pay for. But some people, what they do is they develop a taste. And it gets to a point where though that food isn't good enough for them anymore, or they start to sense that they don't want to really support their business operation. And so they start to look for smaller, more refined operations, and they end up, well, you know, they'll pay more of a premium, but to them, the food is better, and in many cases it is, but they also feel like they're supporting a smaller business. So I think that's what's going to have, it's either already happening or it should be happening as far as what's going on with WordPress with these templates. So the question is, how do people figure out, or how do you get people to look for these other templates? How can they be dissatisfied with something big in order for them to then want to find something more refined, more specific to their needs?
Yeah, good point. It's actually a tough question because you can't necessarily test them beforehand unless it's on you test the free one and you upgrade to pro. But for example, in the TeamForest, you can see the demo site, but you can't actually try it out before you go for it. But I think it's a good question: is how are you able to support these smaller guys? But I think you just need to go beyond the bestsellers and see if there's something that fits your needs, because there's usually the smaller guys will do something for niche websites. So they're not going to say, oh yeah, we do everything. We just focus on this specific niche, and that's where that's where they are very good at. So I think it's just, if you're in a niche, it would be much easier to find something from smaller guys than when you're just looking for a blogging theme, because that's so generic that the big guys will dominate that.
Yeah, and also too, somebody will look at that website for the first time and they'll be blown away by the theme, but then they'll see that same theme over and over and over again, and it will have diminishing returns on each next website that they go to.
Good point. Yeah.
Okay, so this one I asked this somewhat tongue in cheek, somewhat for the fun of it, but you make a case about how you really don't get much out of running a free website. So I just wanted to hear your take on this. So who are the people that are signing up for these free websites? What are their expectations? And then there aren't very many people that get value out of a free website. So who gets value out of it? And then why are people supposed to be signing up for premium ones?
Yeah, free website, especially with the web hosting and actually the domain. You don't get that much, but if you're new, if you've never done a website, you want to just try something out, try your theme, just see how you like WordPress, it's perfect for that. There's no problem with it. But the problem comes if you start getting traffic, especially with the free web host, they just can't handle the load. Either you'll have to upgrade to a paid account, or then you'll have very slow website. The people that choose free website, I think it's mostly either they're starting or they're really just students that don't have the money. They might not be in the US or Canada. They are somewhere else. They're maybe in in countries where the income is much lower. So paying, I don't know, $60 per month. Okay, no, that's a bit high, but $10 per month for a website maybe is out of question for them. So there's, I think, many reasons. Yeah. Some of them want to make money, but it will be very hard to make with the free website. It's not impossible. There are people that make money on the free websites, but it is very hard just because you're competing against somebody who has web servers that are really powerful, and Google appreciates that. They want websites to load fast. So yeah, with the free website, it's a bit harder to rank.
Yeah. So the thing that stuck out to me the most is the relative area of where these people live. So if you're living in, and I did think of a country in my head, but I don't want to say it out loud because I don't want to, I don't want to look at the statistics and find out we've got a couple of downloaders from there. So I guess y'all know who you are, I suppose. But if you're in, here in the in what I call the quantum world, where things are moving so fast and so rapidly and everything is digital, the standard of web presence is have yourname.com, or I don't know, .net, or whichever one is ideal. Obviously, .com being the big kahuna. And then it doesn't look so great when it's like, Joey Yanni's video game reviews.geocities.com/Yahoo. Okay, it doesn't look that great. But then you get to somewhere where nobody has a website, or, people are just getting online, and somebody sets up their website, and yeah, it's free, but it's so much more, it just sticks out so much more compared to everything else. So I think relativity is an important thing to keep in mind there too.
Yeah, and especially with the domain names, when you have .com, there's a bit more trust into it. So you made the effort to buy a .com domain. Also, you can always change the web hosting, but if you build up search rank for a domain, you want to kind of keep that domain, because with the free domains, you might lose it because it's free. If they decide they don't want to provide it anymore for free, then you might just lose it. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely not a long-term strategy to have a free website, free domain. It's .com is much more better. Or there are some other extensions that work really well, but it's specific to your country.
Yeah. There was a podcast service I had at one point. That's what happened. They couldn't afford their service, and so they ended up shutting down. And thankfully, I had all my content saved, all 3 episodes of my my podcast, college podcast. Actually, it's funny too. This is just me like venting for a second, but we have this advertising campaign in Canada where a bunch of I don't know if you know, like our they're kind of stereotypical. They're called the Mounties. The
Yeah,
Royal
yeah, with
Canadian
the
Mounted
hat
Police.
and
Yeah, exactly. The hat and the shorts. And there's this commercial series where they just go around terrorizing people in very Canadian ways because they're signing up for a .com over a .ca. Like one of them pours maple syrup on a guy's laptop. It's like, you should have picked CA. And I just think that is so awful. Why do you think I don't want dots. Why would I want .ca at all? Fun fact about Canada, every time somebody gets good at something, they go to the States.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, like we have people here who are popular here, but anytime they want to like expand their career or be on Whose Lines It Anyways or something, they go to the States.
Yeah, it's so easy for you. You're just neighbors there, and
Yeah.
I can imagine .com makes more sense in the long run, even for in Canada.
But geographically, it's easy, but there's still a fair number of hurdles to get through, like work visas, stuff like that. But yeah, it's doable, which compared to a lot of other people in the world, is a huge advantage. I'd be lying if I haven't like started listing what cities I would want to move to in the States if opportunity permitted. All right, I just want to get that off my chest. Okay, so Robert, we're getting pretty close to the end here. This is, I don't know about you, this is just like flown by. I'm just having a blast here. I wanted to ask you about your eToro experience because you set up like a second channel for it, and I was like, oh, okay, let's see what's going on in Robert's second channel, and it's like it's all about what happened with eToro. Do you mind telling us like what happened there, like what eToro is and what is your relationship right now?
No, eToro is just a trading platform where you can invest in stocks and other assets like that. And my second channel is actually, I had a couple of videos on my primary channel about eToro, but then I didn't feel like it fits the website theme. And I did them, a couple of years ago, and they were fairly successful. So I thought I'm actually really interested also myself in like self-development, investing, and this kind of topics. So I set up another channel where I started with eToro topic, but I will expand more. But yeah, it's a website where you can invest into things. The thing is, in US and maybe Canada, you're kind of blessed. You have so many options to actually invest.
Mm-hmm.
But in Europe, it's much harder to invest in the US stocks. You have a few players, but they're not as easy to use or as cheap as in the North America. So eToro has like a solution for that. And yeah, I just review it and how I've done on the platform.
Yeah, I'll tell you one quick tidbit about investing here in Canada is that there was one stock that I wanted to invest in. It was a full share, and I'll just tell you because it's Nintendo, and I wasn't allowed to buy it as a non-resident. So as Canada does have advantages, but there are still setbacks that can be ratified by being a U.S. resident. However, I will say that I was able to buy. They basically what they do is it's almost like Bitcoin, where they split a share into 8. They're called ADRs, and I'm able to purchase ADRs. So if I buy 8 of them, I have a full share. But I don't know. It's typical Nintendo. They want me to put a puzzle together before I can have.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned some personal development channels, and I know that you linked to them. I think it was in one of your videos. And I'm wondering if, having looked at some of this, if there was any like major lessons that really like stuck out in your mind that are influencing you on a day-to-day basis now. And I'll give you a second to kind of like let that mull over, because I just want to say one that stuck out to me. And this was, I was also from the Tyler Jeffco interview. Not that I'm playing favorites or anything, but well, so he said Keystone Habit. And Keystone Habit stuck out to me because it's the idea of one habit that will yield numerous continued benefits, where as long as that habit is done, everything else can better fall into place. And for me, like the Keystone Habit is like 2 things. 1, don't look at my phone for the first hour I wake up. And then number 2 is do my exercises first thing in the morning. If I do those 2 things, the day does unfold somewhat better. So that was one thing that stuck out to me. But can you remember anything that stuck out to you?
Just in general, for me, it's I think what has helped me develop myself is just keep learning, and actually set aside a small budget for my learning. So I see it as an investment and not a cost. So if I don't spend it, so it's actually a bad thing. So that could be Audible books or Kindle books or whatever you're into, seminars. I think if you keep developing yourself, you will also have much more possibilities in terms of what you can do and where you can take your website. And it doesn't, the books don't have to be about digital space. If you just develop yourself, I think you can get much further you just can get much further with your life. And for me, it's been super important that I've done this because it has allowed me to switch, for example, from project management to CRO. And I'm really happy with that change. And I don't think it would be possible without investing time and money into education, not like a university college, but really like into developing yourself.
Well, I think that's a great takeaway, is not to look at learning as a cost. Well, I mean, I was about to say groceries, but I guess food is an investment into your well-being. Okay. There's eating to live, and then there's eating really good, nourishing food. Spending the extra money is an investment. So yeah, there's something I think too. If something is a cost, is how can we view this and say this is a cost because we're not treating it like an investment. So how can we turn this into an investment? And I think with that psychology, it allows us to be a lot more mindful of where we're spending our money. So yeah, that's a great takeaway. And I'm wondering if that was going to be the answer to our final wrap-up question, which is if you have any parting words of wisdom. Is there any other? The timing of that wasn't my proudest moment, but let's just go for it.
Yeah, if you're talking about related to websites, I think what I try to bring to my work is always think like customers first. Like, if you were the customer, would you like this feature, or would you like to have your website this way? Because I think as a website owner or a content creator, we have our own motives to do certain things, but you have to always remember that there's a person on the other end. Are they going to get the value out of what you're offering them? And I was talking about pop-ups before, but putting up 5 pop-ups on one page, is that the best way to actually serve these people? And yeah, I think it's just thinking long-term, not only short-term.
Fantastic. All right, Robert, we're going to get you on out of here. Again, this has been a lot of fun. I'm really glad I got to have this hour with you, learn some stuff, had some laugh, blasted off into space. It's how I like doing my stuff. Just let people know, last but not least, is how to find your content and how to find you.
Yeah, people can find me on YouTube. The channel is Tips with Punch. If you have problems with your website, I do try to answer pretty much all comments, as long as it's not only just thanks or something, but I do answer if you have questions, try to help you there. And I think that's the best way to find me, actually.
Okay. Terrific. Well, listeners, unless this is your first time listening to us, thank you for joining us. What you do at this point is check out Robert's content and sink your teeth into it, because there's plenty more to learn here. These hours, it's our job to give you some value, give you some entertainment, and really help, introduce these people to you. Because if you were in my position where you got to listen to each and every person, the amount of knowledge that you would have accumulated at this point would be unconscionable. So the more of these you listen to, the more opportunity you're going to have to learn. And like we were saying earlier, get your freedom back. That's the most important thing, people, is get your freedom. All right. With that said, listeners, we're going to check in soon. So you all take good care of yourselves. Thank you. Thanks for listening. You might have found this show on any number of platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, or right here on Debutify. Whatever the case, if you enjoyed this content and want to help us thrive, please take a few moments to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you think is best. We also want to hear from you, so whether you think you'd be a good guest or want to weigh in on anything related to our show, you can email podcast@debutify.com or connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Finally, this podcast is created by the passionate team at Debutify. If you're ready to take the plunge into e-commerce or are looking to up your game, head over to Debutify.com and see how it can change your life and the lives of many through what you do next.